Welcome, one and all. Hello, everybody. I hope you're all well after the detox earlier. Right, welcome to our weekly wrap of what broke in the world of woke. And we are live too, so share your views, send us your topics. Let's unwind as we rewind on the week that was woke together. And today's a whopper for sure on all that is woke. Let's get my co-conspirator, my co-interrogator of all that's woke on. Let's get to it. She's the queen of the woke. Here she is, Rachael.
I'm such a rebel. Hello, everyone.
Now, you're not going to shout about it. You're just going to chat about it.
I'm just going to chat, if you don't mind. Would that be okay?
I think we'll set that tone, shall we?
Yeah. Sounds great to me.
That's it. So that was the week that was woke. In case anybody's just joined us for the first time, we cover various elements. Disney DEI, possibly. DEI seems to crop up a lot.
Yeah.
Dodgy adverts that seem to lose their traction, writers and people who are slagged off, movies that tank. That's kind of the gist of it. Yeah. So anyway, just so everybody knows where we're going today, I like to guide you through to look forward to certain items. There's a tasty one at the top there, folks. If you're a Doctor Who fan, Doctor Who and cancel culture, Doctor Who goes woke, Doctor Who with Camille, Juno Dawson, John Barrowman and RTD, all mixed up together. Oh, that's a tasty one. And of course, we've got Rachael here, who's been reading diligently a lot of Juno Dawson stuff. So there's a lot of updates there. We've got the network real language nonsense arming, honestly. The heteronormative Lego, the racist dog areas in Wales, if you're into the game Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, yeah, there's an issue there. There's a woke beer boss losing his job in Australia. The Oscar trans actress is in big doo-doo. And West Yorkshire police, their DEI staffing. We may take a look. They're just a taste of a few. Do you want to hang around then? Should we go for it, everybody? Let's get rolling. So the first one, this is not the first item. This is just to make us realise that I hope you've had the right unconscious bias training, Rachael.
All right, yeah.
Alicia Keys says DEI is not a threat, it's a gift.
Really?
Yeah, it's a gift, darling. It's a gift. It's a gift.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, she'll have to fill me in on that one. I was aware that she was saying that. Don't really know why.
Yeah,
because she was famous when I was a child.
Yeah, it sounds pretty. It's a nice contrast, isn't it? It's not a threat, it's a gift. There you go. So unconscious bias training from everybody in the thread. It's a gift. There's so much we're going to mention tonight.
Very talented being, part of DEI.
Yes.
I mean, they all have the quotas to me. I get it, but I didn't realize it was a talent.
And TARDIS Travel says, can we return the gift?
Bye. No, not in this case, I don't think.
So this is just to start us off and warm us up. But I found that a lot of people have argued, Rachael, that this is probably one of the first examples of wokeness when somebody got hurt. And it was the Rosetta scientist. Remember that a few years ago? NASA, the Rosetta probe and all the rest of it. And the scientist, when we landed the probe, I think it was, and, there he was, Dr. Matt Taylor. And because he had that shirt on, they all went mad and they said he was offensive. The man is a top scientist. They'd landed the Rosetta mission. Everything was working. Top scientist. And everybody was going on about his shirt.
Yeah. And I vaguely remember this. Yeah. It's amazing. You can find something in everything that someone is unhappy with.
And it's the other thing, and we'll be saying it with Doctor Who since we're the experts on Doctor Who. The point is, instead of the main game, instead of the main product, They'll look for all the fringe stuff. They'll look for anything else. It's a great scientific thing, the Rosetta mission, but no, it's his shirt that's the issue, honestly.
Was he cancelled?
I think he was just pilloried for quite a while. And the poor man, this is his great moment in science, and all people were waffling on about was his shirt. I mean, you know. So, next one. I thought this might give you a laugh. You're not far from Wales, are you? Calls for dog-free areas in Wales to tackle racism. I mean,
That's almost as bad as you know what I had last week, wasn't it?
yeah. The recommendation has been put to the Welsh Government in a report responding to an anti-racism action plan, but the goal of the dog-free areas is unclear.
Yeah.
I've come across that with a few of our friends who are walking dogs in various places, and it's been noted that some people from certain ethnic minorities are very scared of dogs, and therefore it's racist to have dogs in certain areas.
But how would the dog know?
Oh, they need some unconscious bias training in dogs. I think there should be.
That racist towards dogs?
It's
I mean,
certainly
the
very
dog must be
doggist.
so offended.
So there you go. The countryside was racist last week, and now dogs are. I mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, we've got a family dog at my parents'. Is that racist? He's white.
oh heck. Alert, alert. So just before we get to our lovely Doctor Who item, well, have you seen the news today, Rachel, about Lego?
Now, I saw, obviously, I've been extremely busy today because obviously I work full time as well. I saw something briefly about Lego and something about it being woke,
Oh,
but
you will
that's as
not.
far as I got. Go on.
Well, it's very dangerous, isn't it, Thread? The Science Museum claims that Lego bricks are anti-LGBT. People seeing Lego bricks may be triggered and believe that Lego reinforces the idea that bricks are gendered. A museum tour offered by the Science Museum in London called Stories of Queer Communities, Experiences and Identities, word salad, claims that the bricks may lead people to think that heterosexuality is the norm because the bricks reinforce gender stereotypes.
Kids don't care. They'll just play with the Lego.
Yeah. And it is honestly as stupid as saying that one brick has a little appendage to affix to another one. I'm sorry, but that's how bricks work in the Lego world.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, they'd all fall away.
Exactly.
But it's been hysterical today to listen to the nonsense about Lego. Kids play Lego. They don't buy the Lego and suddenly go, is this a female brick? Is this a male brick? I mean, they don't. They just want to make stuff.
Yeah, of course.
It's called creativity, Rachel. It's called creativity.
Exactly. You just let them get on with it. That's how they learn as well, actually. It's how they learn.
Well, they'll be learning all their own stuff if they went to a science museum. I mean, get this, Rachel. A science museum is waffling on about bricks.
I mean, imagine that.
What?
You're a girl. You can't play with the color green.
Yeah. Well, there weren't many black bricks. I noticed somebody was saying in that. What about stickle bricks? I mean, Jeremy said earlier, what about stickle bricks?
Yeah.
What about Meccano? Some said that's a bit macho and a bit bondagey. That's whoa, gee, me, Meccano's rough as.
Well, if you start with one, then you got to look at the others as well. You know, you got to look at things like the mega blocks that they do and all of that. Maybe look at Brio. Brio, is it called Brio?
Oh yeah,
I remember, you know, the wooden train sets and all of that. That was one of my favorite toys as a kid. But I'm a woman.
Well, we've got Lee in the thread. He's gay, grew up with Lego, and now they're taking the pee. Utter nonsense. No, you're the problem, Lee, because you were playing with Lego and you didn't realize. You need unconscious bias training on the next time you play Lego.
Me too.
Yeah. I tell you, this is it.
I grew up with brothers, and I was about 7 when my sister was actually born. So, and by the time she was old enough to start playing with toys, I'd spent most of my childhood playing with boys' toys, and I didn't care.
Well, there you go. So I could not believe this. I thought, are people for real? This is the problem with the world, and you can understand why people like Donald Trump are saying, can we get rid of this DEI stuff? Because it is making no sense.
Yeah.
People are finding trouble where there's no
Yeah.
trouble.
Yeah.
There is homophobia. There are certain things out there that are happening, but this makes people laugh at us. It's just stupid.
It's very, very silly. What they need to do is they just need to calm down and pull it back, because obviously quotas have to be met by law anyway, but not to the extent that it's been doing. Not like
Yeah.
this.
No. Well, Matthew Pounder says cancel Morphy's plasticine.
Oh
Yeah,
my
too right.
goodness. Is
Oh,
Bloke still going?
oh, poor Morph. Wallace and Gromit will have to be cancelled.
Yeah.
Oi, Doctor will get more ratings.
Yeah, well, maybe about 2 more, but there you go.
There's Heather. If Star Wars is woke and there are Star Wars Lego sets, double.
Oh.
Jeremy's worried about the fuzzy felt. Yeah, fuzzy felt. So,
You'd have to look at all the characters from like Sesame Street and the
yeah.
Muppets and things like that.
Well, what about Willie and Wokey, the Who Pets?
Oh, no.
man,
Oh, they might get cancelled.
I might have to cancel. I've cancelled them already. I'm not having them.
Oh.
So Lee, oh my God, I didn't realize till now I was oppressed by Lego. No,
Yeah,
you've
sorry,
been oppressing
Lee.
Lego.
Sorry.
You're the one. You're the problem, mate. So yes, that's the level of it, isn't it? But let's go. Oh dear. I'm now going to go a bit heavy because it's our favorite subject. Could it be Doctor Who? And could it be the land of the woke and what goes broke? Here we go then. Are you ready?
Yeah, ready.
Camille, lovely Camille, has been talking, and it's allowed. And you'll see here, she says, first of all, I want to set up everybody, Doctor Who and cancel culture, inconsistency, RTD, Juno, who he selects, who he doesn't select, who is allowed to be cancelled, who isn't. So just to introduce Camille's angle to a few things first. She had an actor who gave her a bit of grief. He was very method and he sort of did a maneuver which was quite sexual and didn't plan it. He didn't talk to me about it, and the crew in the room were flabbergasted. I broke his balls. I absolutely laid into him, and I think most women might not have. I was only 21. And to be honest, he was lovely after that. It's a bit like when Louise Jameson said she told off Tom Baker in the Horror Fan Rock, and after that he behaved just in his manner.
Yeah.
So there you go, Me Too campaign. Now, I'm reminding everybody, we've talked about this before, so I'm not going to bore you again, don't worry, but it's relevant because Camille does reference this. John Barrowman saying he's been blackballed, saying that he can't get an audition, saying that people aren't coming to his support and he feels let down. So that's just a reminder, but Camille obviously talks about this as well. And she says, let's have a look. The musical theatre star was reprimanded by the BBC in 2008 after a complaint about him exposing himself on set, said publicly that it had simply been high spirits. Barrowman told me that what you call bawdy behaviour could be fun and silly and stupid. He recently said he had been disgusted at the way my Doctor Who and Torchwood family turned their backs on me. And then Camille says, if I go larger there so you can see it a bit more, it sounds so sordid, but actually actors can be doing so many changes in the backs of vans and rooms, and there can be some horseplay and nothing too sexual ever, really. There are high spirits involved. I'm very fond of John and indeed Noel Clarke, who played Rose Tyler's boyfriend, and who is currently suing The Guardian for libel. But she adds, if you don't like it and you don't want somebody to reveal their genitals to you, you have every right to say it's not acceptable. I didn't mind. I've known John for years. He's hilarious, right? So just to update you a little bit more, and then we'll really have a good chat about where RTD comes into this, I think. She said it's difficult, clearly wrestling with what Barrowman has said. If somebody like me came out to help John Barrowman, we all know I would be absolutely vilified, she says. I'm so sorry John feels let down. As for Clarke, she says, I witnessed banter from Noel, but nothing else. And of course, the reference in the article that obviously Chris Eccleston later on talks about sacking Chris Eccleston as. So you can see where I'm coming from here. She talks about, dealing with Me Too campaign for herself, really, with another actor. She talks about, I think she feels as though she wants to support John Barrowman, but she knows that she'll then be the next target.
It's possible. It's possible. And She's just taken on another. Is she in something at the moment? I feel like she is.
Is it called something boys? One of them's gay, the university lads. She's in.
Yeah.
This was part of the advert for that, the interview.
And now if she comes out in support, she could potentially risk that job, or risk people wanting her to be removed from that job, risk backlash. I get it. There's a lot of tiptoeing around in the acting industry for sure. Like what she said there, that's not wrong. That's true.
Yeah. So
I mean, I don't know about with regards to John Barrowman, but the general summary that she's sort of given with what goes on behind the scenes, that's generally like can happen.
Yeah.
Because you are in that sort of situation where it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where we are so far. Now, obviously, I complicate the argument a little bit more now. So we've got Camille saying, I think she's saying she feels sorry for John.
Yeah.
She feels sorry for Noel, but she doesn't want to get her head above the parapet. And I'm not blaming her on that one. I think
it would take one word from someone,
yeah,
and that's it. She'll never work again.
So knowing that, folks, let's complicate matters. And of course, on my Bigenerates the other day, I showed you 2 extracts from The Writer's Tale by RTD. Now, Rachel, if you haven't seen these for a while, I'll just remind you of these, because remember, RTD is the boss of Doctor Who, and he selects who is cancelled and who isn't. Now, we will mention Juno Dawson in a moment, I'm sure. But in the meantime, he was talking about Russell Tovey here. And he was talking about how fanciful he is, sexy, gay, and quite tasty. So this is the boss of Doctor Who selecting.
Sorry.
Well, you go for it, Rachel. I'm interested in your opinion on this, because this is tasty, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's really inappropriate.
Well, here we go. And it's an official document. So here we go. I mean, never mind the subtitle. As you know, he used to write to Benjamin Cook and he'd reply.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll try to take off the midshipman's clothes. Well, maybe his jacket. I'm never joking. I mean, I do have a sense of humor to a point, but he is the boss. It's like fancying a cartoon character, which is entirely possible. Oh, it's all sex. I can never say that enough. Do I only write in handsome men because I honestly think that will cast someone gorgeous? He'll fancy me like mad and maybe even fall madly in love with me. Blah, blah, blah. Right? That's the first bit. This is the man who is the great decider, the great progressive. And he continues a few months later, talking about David Tennant struggling with lines. I told Julie Gardner today that I was cancelling most of my holiday. She said, well, yeah, I was expecting some protestations, even if they were faked. But I think in her head, she's been assuming for ages that the holiday is cancelled. Still, this does mean I'll be in Cardiff for Russell Tovey's midshipman frame scenes. How is a man with sticky out ears so completely beautiful? And he's gay. I can't bear it. Matt Jones said to me yesterday, you're the only executive I've ever met who talks openly about fancying his cast. Yes, but I'm the only one who's not actually doing anything with them. I'm all talk. However, I think, Rachel, in the world we're in, you can't just do talk.
No, people will read too much into that. They'll think, all right, what's going on here? You know, and then there'll be talk all going on. That's really inappropriate.
I thought it was interesting to bring into play because RTD is so high up above the fray. And then people like John Barrowman, Noel Clarke, and other people are getting torn apart. And yet, so basically, it's all about John Barrowman and being, high spirits and showing, exposing his appendage, so to speak. But this is the boss. The boss says and objectifies people he appoints.
I'd actually forgotten all about this.
Isn't it? I don't think this is acceptable.
No, I don't. I mean, we can't really hold him accountable now because it's so many years later in many respects, but that's what he would do to somebody else.
But Rachel, isn't it fascinating when we talk about cancel culture and sometimes it's a dodgy text, sometimes it's a dodgy this, that, and the other. Some people are in prison for sending texts, as you know, in our country.
Yeah.
And there is a publication, an official publication. He knew it was going to be published. And it's him, the boss, saying, oh, we're getting this actor in. He's gorgeous. He's absolutely gorgeous. Now, this is where I find the media are so unfair. In my industry, you have to anonymize, you have to have notes for the interviews, they have to keep the notes. And if you ask for the notes, you have to show them why you picked people for a job or not. This is basically, I think he's a good actor. He's also quite tasty. You know, it goes on, Rachel. You're hoping to get jobs in acting, of course you are. And when you see this, you're thinking, whoa, this is it's not quite the casting couch, but it's the thinking of it.
It's bad enough when you are in many respects expected to look a certain way in this industry.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it any easier. And like, how would Russell Tovey have felt about that being published? I'd love to have been in his mind.
Rachel, can I add another little spanner in the works in this world where you can't put a foot wrong in the media? That might say 2007, but hasn't Russell Tovey just been selected again to be in Doctor Who?
He has. He's
And
actually done Doctor Who before, hasn't he? What one was it?
He was in the Journey of
Titanic
the
one.
Damned.
That's it.
Yeah. But isn't it interesting, though, that you actors are fighting for jobs? It's hard, it's competitive, and we know it's bad enough if it's who you know partly as well. We know all this. And then when you have this publication out there in a world where you get cancelled for one tweet that's dodgy, and any actor who can't get a job in the spin-off with the Sea Devils must think, well, it's who you know. It's because he's fancied. There's evidence.
Yeah. Yeah, well, very clearly evidence.
I mean,
he was in Years and Years as well. So
yeah,
there must be, makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Rachel,
really
I mean,
wonder.
And that's what I mean. I think
he made Russell Tovey's character gay in Years and Years as well.
It helps the fantasy, I think.
I think so.
I mean, I'm not going to say a word yet. I'll let everybody just join the dots. I've not on our stream ever gone there and said shooty RTD and anything. I know people have just joked about it. I think they're joking about it. But the point is, you can't have a boss who seems to adore, favor so much somebody they appoint. They can't do that.
It makes me wonder how much he is actually involved directly with the casting process in many respects as well. I wonder if he met Russell before his first Doctor Who episode, prior to that.
I do think, and I'm just pointing out inconsistencies. My job is not to be some pious person. The point is, it's RTD who's been pious. It's some of the media who are pious. And I'm just pointing out, oh, dear me. As Jeremy says, sending work emails, a person has to be sensitive and not say anything that can be deemed inappropriate. Exactement. Every other industry, why are the media so special that they can lecture us on how to live? But oh my God, sorry, there's a dodgy page or two in the writer's tale. Okay. Oh.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to be like too callous here, I guess you could say, but there are certain things, certain companies, without naming them, that turn mysterious blind eyes.
Well, and this is what I'm trying to get at, Rachel, in this way. We've got the John Barrowman example. Camille looks as though she wants to make a stand, but she daren't for her own career, and I understand that.
Yeah.
You've got RTD himself is not perfect. Who has said they are? However, some people high up in the media pretend they are. And we've got the writer selection, which I don't want to bore people with the same content again. But the point is, you've been looking at stuff and we've learned more. And of course, if those pages are just slightly embarrassing for RTD as the boss, and some people get cancelled for a tweet, I think, how do some of these people get the green light?
Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Well, I tell you. So, Heather, I'm waiting for the day when some scandal comes up. Well, I hope not. But the point is, I just don't like inconsistency. I hate hypocrisy. That's what I'm pointing out.
What's scary is that could also potentially happen.
Yeah. Oh, it could wreck the show. I mean, I really don't want this because it would absolutely wreck the whole thing. Can you imagine if... as a daft example, everybody, if RTD did get into some scandal, there's 20 years down the pan of Doctor Who. It's like, oh my God.
That'll be gone within a heartbeat.
Oh God. And that's the thing I don't like about cancel culture. We've mentioned this before on this program, Rachel, which is, can you separate the person who might have done something to their product? Because do we just get rid of everything that they made? Because it might be quality stuff that they made.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Every artist, every painter, I mean, honestly, do they all have to be amazingly perfect?
Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect, but yeah.
I just wish the media would learn to shut up and just get on with making their little program and stop thinking they're doing Hamlet, you know?
Stop pushing the DEI as well going forward and just saying, yeah, but we're doing this because we are, this is inclusive. I mean, did you see, I think it was floating around on Twitter somewhere that, what's his name? Noah Ellams? I don't really know how to say it.
Yeah.
He was talking about being part of the writing team, but he was mentioning his race. And it's like,
yes,
just
he's
say
Nigerian.
you're proud to be on the writing team. You don't need to.
Oh no, he was in his Nigerian dress. He mentioned he's from Nigeria. Did you know that he's from Nigeria?
No, I didn't.
Did you know Juno Dawson is trans? Did you know that?
No.
And I'm gay.
No.
And did you know Bill Potts was a lesbian?
No, shut up.
Unbelievable. So, yeah, this is oh God, it's all labels on a tin, isn't it? So
it is. That's unfortunate. Yeah, it shouldn't be that way.
So here we go. If everybody can see the thread I'm trying to do, RTD is a normal person, let's hope, and he's written things that maybe are slightly embarrassing as a boss. You've then got Camille saying, poor John Barrowman, and now we've got the selection of writers who, in 2025, we hope are perfect.
I hope so.
The trouble is, Rachel, you've been looking a little bit more at Juno Dawson's work, haven't you?
I have, yeah. Yes, I have.
I'll come back to him, yeah.
Oh,
now, what were these shots you sent me, Rachel?
So that is from this book here. It's called You Need to Chill. And it starts off as a pretty basic standard children's story. And you don't really think too much into it. I've read it. It didn't take very long to read. But it is a story about identity.
Of course.
And we have a trans child in it.
Of course.
So they're asking where this child's brother is. And this child's brother's name was Bill. And
Bill
Bill,
no.
No, not Bill Potts. You can help yourself. And Bill is now Lily. And that, to me, is a problem because this should just be an ordinary children's book.
So let's go back a bit. So Juno Dawson, one of the Doctor Who writers, has written a text for little kids, very little kids, because it's one sentence a page. And we know that's really little kids. That's,
it is
early doors reading. And my brother Bill is now my sister Lily.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody who's writing trans, you could argue propaganda.
Yeah.
Because trans 18 upwards, I'm not having an argument with.
Yeah.
Trans kids isn't a concept that a lot of people accept at all.
No, it's not. And I definitely don't accept it. I've been very clear on that, with my channel. I've always maintained that.
Yep.
No such thing. Let children grow up. They'll question it at some point when they're older. Yes, absolutely. 100%, but not 100%, but what I mean by that. And then they'll go on to make that fully informed decision for themselves. I don't think it's actually anybody's business to be telling a child how they identify, and that it's okay for a child can walk in identifying as a cat for a day, know?
Yep.
So to them, it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
It's just that, as we agree, we've both been teachers. You should just let kids grow up. And
So
the CAS
yeah,
report, which we read, the CAS report says stay off this really.
yeah,
And there should be no. So basically, we've got an awkwardness there. That's how I'll put it.
yeah,
I'll be very British. There's
yeah,
an awkwardness here
yeah,
for a new writer of Doctor Who, because
yeah.
this could bite us all on the bum a little bit. This. So there you go. As go
Jeremy's
on.
just asked me a question.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
just answer that quickly. Um, yeah, they're pretty easy, Jeremy, sorry. So he's asking me if the books are really thin on the writing and easy to read or pretty heavy. No, they're pretty easy to read in general. I think if anyone picked up this one,
Uh-huh.
this again is
I've got bits from it that you've sent.
yeah, it's what it's doing is it's using language that makes it sound cool, hip, very real, and like approachable. And it's definitely aimed at a younger generation.
And,
Like everything like you've seen posted on X is nothing compared to what I've read so in the book.
well, the things you were sending, here's an example, folks. These are all, I mean, thank you, Rachel, and she'll be doing more, I'm sure, on her channel, of course. But, you
Once
know,
I finish them.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is an example. So this is our Doctor Who writer, and we know this is for kids. And so here we go. Rory's story.
Yeah,
Rory
12
can
to
write.
18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Identifies as a trans man. Okay, that's allowed. It's an adult. He had surgery and took hormones to change gender several years ago. Here's his story. But the trouble is, the story's about being a kid. I always liked to dress up and be the boy. At primary school, everyone knew me as the girl that wanted to be a boy. And it just goes on and on and on. And of course, I think where I have a problem is suddenly that's kind of sowing a seed to a kid when actually they might just be gay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just leave them alone. Let them work it out. And then when they're an adult, everything's okay. They can do what they want. I don't like this because so this is it. A Doctor Who writer is waded into a controversy. So that was an interesting one, Rachel.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other one you sent me was, don't use the word. Well, you can see it at the
Yeah.
top there. Everybody can see the D word. You absolutely don't have permission to use that word, but also they link it to the other one.
Yeah.
You can see it there, folks. Okay, unless you are, but you can use the word if you're transgender. I hate this stuff. I can't say the word queer. I can't say the word any insults about gay just because I'm gay. Who said that gives me the right? We're all equal. No, you can't. So I disagree with this whole concept of what this Doctor Who writer, this intelligent sci-fi writer, is even thinking about. I also don't like the style of writing. It's very conversational.
It's very conversational.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that means you could almost type it on it in a day. I could do that. In fact, I scripted my preface in seconds. Did you notice? I think you did.
I think I did, yeah. No.
That was the week that worked.
That'll do.
Yeah. Well, I could do that. Look at that. The word got, that, a question mark. It's not even a proper blooming question. Good. There are broader issues. There's so much trouble here. There are broader issues regarding gender identity in that we are still very much stuck in a binary culture. Oh, bless.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Which says some things are for boys, slugs, snails, and puppy dogs' tails, and some things are for girls, sugar and spice and all things nice. P.S. Who wrote this anti-feminist hate anthem? Anti-feminist. I was a lad. I still am, by the way. And I didn't like that slugs, snails. I thought the girls got away with it. They had all the nice things.
Yeah.
Anti-feminist hate anthem. I mean,
I wouldn't have gone that far. It was just a rhyme.
Yes, it's a nursery rhyme, and it favors girls for once. I know there's a lot of literature that doesn't, but anti-feminist hate anthem, and he's given that to kids. That's just tosh, absolute tosh.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is your Doctor Who writer, folks. Hope thank you so far. Epigenetics. Oh gosh,
Oh
this
gosh, yes.
got very posh, Rachel. So this is still the same book, isn't it?
It's still the same book. So here Juno is trying to go into some more like technical like terms and biological terms and things like that. In actual fact, that's a common thing throughout the book, so it's trying to have a bit of intelligence. But, the wording here about the parents is very interesting, and I was just like, really, why would anyone, it says, I want you to imagine your mum and dad's genetic code. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to imagine them doing that.
Yes.
Yes,
It's
and
it's
it's
5 lines down, folks, and it's
yeah,
in brackets. You'll
yeah,
see it.
yeah, and
Yeah,
then it goes on to, say, is it in this bit or is it another one?
there's a next bit as well, don't
Yeah.
worry.
Yeah, and it just the language, it's like, this is for 12 to 18, and remember, if it's 12 for 18 to 18 as well, that's embarrassing to think about, even have that image put in your mind, because as soon as you've mentioned it, that's it, it's gonna go there into their brain.
I look, and I'm not the god of English just because I was an English teacher and a head of English, but I'm sorry, but I've seen thousands and thousands and thousands of
Yeah,
kids' essays,
yeah.
and this style of writing is already getting my shackles up because this is
So much slang in this. So
it's
much slang.
it's
Children
slang.
children would have easy access to the internet, they can just go and look it up.
It's just, oh, look, you look at Malcolm Hulke and you look at Robert Holmes and Terence Dicks and you look at the writers of Doctor Who over the years. They knew their grammar, their artistry, their skill at selection of humorous and funny vocab. And you look at the level here. I mean, this is low level vocab. This is, I was fascinated when you said they're trying to sound, they use technical terms. They're trying to give themselves a badge to say, you must listen to me because I
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about. It just looks as though they've been on the internet. Oh, this is our sci-fi writers of the future, selected personally by RTD, who always selects on merit, as I showed you from the writer's tale. He goes for people with the best ears. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. Sorry. I got
I know
so
what you
confused
mean.
there. So here we go. And you
Yeah,
see, this is it. The DEI thing, people can shoot us down saying it's always merit. It's merit. Well, I'm sorry. He said he picked Russell Tovey because he's delicious and gay and gorgeous. We want to hope these writers are quality science fiction or just really good writers. But I am seeing from the evidence you're sending me, it's a bit colloquial.
a colloquial, bit childlike, trying to be relatable. Remember, Juno is like in her 40s, I
Yeah, I think
think.
so. Yeah.
So Juno comes from a time where sex education was taught very differently compared to perhaps what it is now. And Juno is trying to recognize some gap within sex education in order to produce this type of book.
Yeah.
Um, But I asked you about that because I'm more
Mm,
preschool based than I
mm.
was ever high school. I asked you about that, and, you said that now it's you sort of
Yeah, you
talk
right.
about all.
Right. I was in charge of safeguard and I was head of year. So I was in
Yeah,
charge of what was said about relationships and stuff like that
yeah,
for my year group. And as you know, they went from 11 to 18.
yeah.
I'm sorry, but in secondary schools, we focus on consent to make sure a boy and a girl knows that they can't give consent till after 8 or 16.
Mhm.
And that they know that, because I think sometimes they think they've got agency of their own body. No, you don't. That's important, obviously, for poor
Yeah,
kids to say no. The other thing is to spot when people are working on them. I mean, I know people say the word grooming, but they need to try and spot signs because, you know, kids think, oh, I'll spot a groomer a mile off. Well, you won't, because
no,
that's not how they
okay.
operate. So you have to show them that compliments and this, that, and the other. And then we teach them about the more important thing, not about who's got what appendage. We don't say, oh, and girls look like this Lego. And, we don't do that. What we do is talk about relationships and the
Mm,
complexity of relationships.
yeah,
That's what you'd hope we teach kids, isn't it? Relationships and consent and
yeah.
respect.
But weirdly, this book, for a book that is supposed to be talking about, like, sexuality, doesn't have talk about gender identity a lot. An awful lot. I haven't got to this one yet, so this one will be interesting.
God. Well, there you go. And you sent us one more just so people can see, because I know people, you've done them a massive favor to actually find these bits. This was about, they brought up the intersex, of course. Intersex, I mean, I think I've seen the statistics. It is so rare. It is almost a statistical non-entity. Why put it in a book to kids about sex education? It's not worth mentioning.
No, I don't even get that. But some people say, you know, well, I've seen some weird things on X. I don't know if you've ever seen it, where people bring intersex into the LGBT conversation when they don't ever consider themselves part of that community, because intersex is just a biological something that's just gone wrong with their biology, basically, and it's just the way that it is, and they never would consider themselves part of that, the LGBT discussion. So I don't know why they get brought into it all the time. So this is not the first time that I've seen this.
And I just want to keep, because Brian, you know, he works, he's got friends in the community, and as he says, trans is real, and as you know, we're not denying that. What we're saying is there's a difference between trans adults and trans kids.
Yeah,
you've got to be very careful how this is done, and I think people who are ill-equipped, and it looks like Juno Dawson may have done some research, but why don't we get a scientist to write the blooming book? You know,
I think Juno has done research for
Yeah.
this. I would say so. But yeah.
But, you know, I think it's important that, you know, so our comments are about, this is a future Doctor Who writer. We don't want the program cancelled. We don't want it to make mistakes. And remember, it might be a brilliant script, but something they've done in their private life or something they've written somewhere else could get that episode cancelled. Surely we all have to be careful nowadays because of the way this has all gone. So while Noel Clarke is fighting his corner and John Barrowman's fighting his corner, and certain other people have been cancelled, Kevin Spacey, blah, 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 blah. Gosh, there's a lot of evidence here where people might suddenly one day say, we're not happy with this writer writing for a family drama. And all I'll point out is it happens very quickly. The court case is coming, but The Sandman is being taken off Netflix because of its association with Neil Gaiman. Straight away.
Yep. Coraline's also been cancelled. The tour of Coraline, that's gone.
So
yeah.
So this is so delicate. I'm not being an alarmist here. And Juno Dawson has every right as a trans adult to make money and to have a life and to have a career.
100%.
I have no problem. All I'm pointing out in this DEI woke-obsessed world is I hope it's merit that got them the job. We won't know till the episode. However, if they've written something controversial, the episode would be pulled.
What we do know is that Juno does actually like Doctor Who. We do know that, and that she watched it as a teenager with Nan. So we do know that.
Yeah. And so does our Nigerian writer, who was 10 and also watched Doctor Who there. And he said that Doctor Who was an immigrant, a refugee, who landed. Oh, Rachael, it's
we're going into that, are we? Okay.
Oh, we are going there. Apparently, yes. I didn't want to go there, but our writers all want to go there.
That's really reading into it there. I mean, you know, yeah, okay, he comes from an alien planet, but that's...
Is it possible, Rachael, you just don't know your Doctor Who as much as he does?
No, I clearly have no clue.
No, it's not in this one, actually. I've got it. It's in my detox earlier, everybody. Those who saw my detox earlier, we went into that Instagram page, but I will sum it up for you now, just to help Rachael just understand that that's a second writer. And he said Doctor Who was an immigrant, refugee. He has empathy because he's got two hearts. We're rewriting history here. That he landed on Earth seeking refuge with a sonic screwdriver. No, he didn't.
He didn't even land on Earth with a sonic screwdriver.
No. And he knows his Doctor Who. Well, he's just said about 4 or 5 things that are completely incorrect. Yes, he clearly knows his new Who.
Yes.
Not his classic Who. And these are the writers picked on merit.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I can't, I know I'm reading Juno's books, but I cannot judge it just from what Juno has written in those books. So we will see what happens.
Yep. But
And but the worry is there. The worry is there.
the worry is there, and we're not trying to jump the gun. We're just saying he better know what he's doing, RTD, because one mistake and the episode is lost.
Yes.
That's the snag. Now, just to kind of widen the debate,
Okay.
obviously there's been so much fun in America. It is that's where to be at the moment with all this, isn't it? It's so exciting. The USA aid, and of course the fuss that some of the money from the American taxpayer was paying for BBC Media Action.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A charity that aims to make a safer planet for LGBTQI people. And of course, people are then adding loads of stuff saying, so the RTD and that are getting the money. I'm not too sure they're getting the money, but it's BBC Media Action is a charity branch in the BBC. So basically, the American taxpayer gives charity to another charity to hand out money to what they decide. You'd hope to leave out the middleman, and the American taxpayer just pays them.
That's a conundrum. That I was literally like trying to process what you were just saying, because I work a full working week, so I don't always. My news generally, when it comes onto my channel, is a week late because I work the working week.
Oh well, as you know, the gift of us, and it's great that we two, the two of us, discuss this. But of course, there's so much here that you could easily use in your channel, isn't there?
Easily enough. I mean, I've seen flashes of news to do with this, but this is quite something else.
It's something else because I've seen people already start to say, well, that means RTD has been paid to do propaganda for LGBT. I don't think it's gone that far. I don't, because the truth is the American taxpayer, their money, bless them, is going to a British, a bit of it, a British broadcasting charity branch that gives money to LGBT certain things. So basically, if I was an American taxpayer, I'd be going, can't the American government just give money to what we think we should give for? Why does it have to go to the BBC to then give money to something they want? It's just too far away removed from the poor taxpayer.
Well, I mean, they are saying that the BBC are losing a lot of money at the moment. So why am I not surprised about this at all?
Yes.
I really am not surprised.
So it's an interesting one because, of course, one of the examples I gave was that Joe Biden, I know it's not Joe Biden himself, it's his government, spent $32,000 to fund transgender comic book propaganda in Peru. Now, as you know, you can go looking for all that. It's not much money in the scheme of things, but of course, it just shows you that taxpayers' money is being used in very nefarious ways, really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Lee, the BBC we knew and loved has long since died, same as Disney. These beasts today are merely skins for activists. I mean, the truth is, there's a lot of advocacy going on, it feels like to me. But yes, it gets worse. Now, well, before it gets worse, let's set the context. He did an executive order this week. He hasn't done many, has he, President Trump?
No, not many. Well, no, he's done a few, hasn't he?
Yeah, President Trump is
he's on a roll.
He's like Monarch in Fort of Doomsday. He's doing so many executive orders. He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So anyway, this executive order, I don't know if anybody who struggles with some of the woke culture has any problem with at all, which is the executive order to actually make sure that no man or trans man who has, if you get my gist,
trans woman
who had been a man can ever compete with women in sport. And I thought it was actually, I'm not even going to bother about the context of President Trump. It was a beautiful scene, and it was done well on YouTube. Did you see the editing of it? There's a lovely video.
I've seen chunks of it, but yes, it was very good. I've watched that part of the speech that he did for it, and this whole signing bit. I watched all of that. Yeah.
Oh, and the little girls. This is like the future. It's like when JFK talked about man on the moon and all that stuff, and it was inspirational. I have to say, I found some of this quite inspirational for little girls to think they have a level playing field now. They can now just get on with their life.
Yeah, go and play some sport.
Yeah.
And they actually get to watch a historic moment, which, not being funny, shouldn't have really been happening anyway.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No.
Of course, quite rightly, people who've, you know, I mean, poor J.K. Rowling is in our credits because she is quite famous for obviously getting flack for this.
Yeah.
She hails President Trump signing the Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports executive order while being surrounded by dozens of young female athletes. Congratulations to every single person on the left who's been campaigning to destroy women's and girls' rights, says J.K. Rowling. And of course, one of the prime examples was on the right there. And of course, Rachael, this happened, it seemed like minutes after his executive order. The NCAA bans transgender student athletes from competing in women's sports a day after Trump's executive order.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that makes a farce of everything that's been going on.
It does. 100%. It's absolutely ridiculous. And what was I going to say? Yeah, so there's that. There's also going to be, they're hosting the Olympics, aren't they? So he's going to be making sure that the IOC, get it right, Rachel, will actually stay in line, because for France, they didn't stay in line.
No.
And look what happened. Yes, I know the situation was all to do with biology. It was a little bit different, but it still happened. What happened, happened. And I'm not going to say it on here because obviously I don't want that to sort of like drag your channel down, because, you know, I talked about it and I got smacked on the wrist for it. And basically, yeah, it's common sense, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's only, you know, if you look at what DEI should mean, and it says equity, but you do want equality for everybody.
Yeah.
And there was clearly going to be a problem. And we saw the boxing in the Olympics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was not, I mean, I don't mind watching a bit of boxing. I'm not a mad fan of boxing, but I couldn't watch the women's boxing. I couldn't watch it.
Well, interestingly, that said boxer,
Yeah.
I won't go by name because that will actually bring it down, is not allowed to compete in the next upcoming championships. And that was by the IBA.
And look, there's a human story everywhere. There's the people who didn't win the medals because of various athletes who were allowed to be in that category. But then equally, those people will now be very confused because they're getting banned again from the categories of just being allowed in.
Exactly.
And nobody wins here, really.
Yeah. And there are many intersex athletes, because, you know, this is really what it boils down to. Excuse me. But a lot of them just say, yeah, it is what it is, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I understand that there's a difference, even though I've spent my life growing up female. I understand that there's a difference, and there's not a lot I can do.
I mean, Sharon Davies, I have to say, she what an advocate, because I remember when she was swimming. And she's not small. She's an Amazonian herself, but she was fighting those East Europeans in the swimming. And of course, they were bunged up with testosterone and all the rest of it. And they were really used almost, they were treated like lab rats herself. You know, she said she felt sorry for them, really. But they won the medals, and she was always there for second or third.
Yeah.
And she's just been fighting the fight, saying we have to have, I mean, you want it to be a level playing field. That's why women are in one category and men are in another. Because if you had men and women in the same category in some sports, that's just not fair. And it just seemed that we were suddenly allowing a backdoor into an unfairness.
Yeah, someone once told me ages ago that women fought for women's equality and women's rights, so they're, and having equal rights to men, so therefore that meant everything. And it's like, yeah, but biology actually weighs out some of those. And it was just for the ability to vote and equal pay. And it was all to do with work and being able to vote, really, at the end of the day. Not necessarily infiltrating women's sports or going into women's spaces. That doesn't work like that.
And of course, this subject, which might be getting clarified now in America for at least the next 4 years anyway,
Could be longer.
it could be longer, but you've
Oh,
got this,
yeah.
look, I know people laugh because I have to bring up I'm an English teacher, but it is relevant sometimes. I've never understood the idea that you could say her penis. I don't understand how you can mix the two because it doesn't work with the English.
I tell you something, all the countries that have non-gendered language as their native language must be jumping up and down with joy at the moment because they don't have to be
Yeah,
policed on any of this.
yeah.
Yeah.
In my daddy's belly.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, it just causes such look, as adults, we can deal with lots of things. We watch Doctor Who, for God's sake, and sometimes that hocus pocus. But the point is, what I'm saying is when you're teaching kids language, when you're teaching kids to be cognitive, when you're teaching kids to have a vision of the world and where they fit in, please can we not confuse them? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, growing up, knowing their biology, that's what they gotta know.
And then they can work
And then
it
they
out.
can work it out, yeah.
Yeah. Now, this one, I think this is one of your faves, isn't it? The Oscar nominee. We fell
Yes,
on the same time.
darling.
Now, it was only a couple of weeks ago we were talking about you were saying, well, there's a trans woman who's now in the women's category for nominated for the Oscar.
Yeah.
However, it hasn't lasted very well, this, has it? The news has gone bad.
The news has gone bad. This is all to do with I've not read the full details of the tweets yet. I need to do that because I'm making a video on this. But yes, there's a whole barrage of tweets that a journalist, yeah, her name's on screen. I couldn't remember her name. I knew it was Sarah. Sarah Haggie went digging on Carla Sofia Gascon to see who she was and basically unearthed all of this stuff, and it's basically gone south from there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually, I mean, there's so many. This is what I mean. This is my point when I mentioned RTD and the writer's tale. This is my point that, they've gone looking. You see, they go looking for some. Have they all read the writer's tale yet? Oscar nominee Carla body shamed Adele over weight loss. Well, oh gosh, that's not in anymore. They even took that out the war games, that fat shaming bit. And as you say, the left-wing journalist and BLM activist Sarah Haggie began accusing the actor of racism. Oh my gosh. And it continued. Misogynistic transgender actress destroying Netflix's Oscar dreams. Tweets about Islam, tweets about Hitler.
Yeah.
I mean, oh dear, this didn't last long at all.
Yeah, I know it didn't. Now, actually, I should do a double check to see if Carla is still nominated, but there was a lot of talk around whether or not this would actually jeopardize the chances of Carla winning or staying in the vote, basically, for this Oscar.
Well, this is what I mean. Our point, surely, with the common sense, Rachael, starting with Barrowman, the writers, Juno, RTD, and everything is merit. And the snag is this trans woman actress has suddenly been found out that there's an awkward context here. And of course, here it says the transgender actor nominated for Best Actress has been removed from film posters over past tweets.
It's happening. Yeah.
Has been removed from Netflix promotions for the upcoming movie after being accused of racism and Islamophobia.
Yep.
This is unraveling.
It is.
Now, look, this is what I mean. This is the problem in a way. If Carla was picked as a Best Actress for her acting, she should stay there, shouldn't she? Because that's merit.
Yeah, theoretically.
I know there's the argument about what category, but on merit. But now they seem to be pulling back their support because they don't like maybe some of what she said.
Yeah, don't want to be associated with that. So we will distance from you as far as we can.
So how is that different from the writer's tale, from Barrowman, from Noel, from everything else that we've mentioned? Juno?
Also, did anyone check to see if Carla's opinions were still the same? Even though those tweets were like, I don't know how many years ago, but several years ago. Did anyone actually check to see, do you still have that opinion? Are you still critical of Adele for losing all that weight? Because I actually think Adele looks much better now. I mean,
Yeah,
she looked great before, but she looks so much more healthy.
yeah.
Mm.
But isn't it? But I just find this. I mean, there's a one theme throughout most of tonight's show, which is the DEI has possibly poisoned things. It might have had a good intention somewhere,
Mhm.
but what's happened is if things aren't done on merit, it causes a can of worms, because you can't surely then pull down somebody because of something they said in private, because they're there on merit. You know, if you're there on merit, you're there on merit.
Yeah.
It can't be taken away. But because we play this DEI tick boxing exercise, they take their ticks off you again if some of your ticks were really crosses.
Yeah, if
It,
you
it,
don't
it, it-
conform to the right way of thinking in the industry, particularly with something like the Oscars.
well, and we know the score. And of course, if let's just say Carla won the Oscar, can you imagine the speech? All the
Oh
virtue
gosh,
signaling.
all the virtual signaling, yeah, it would
I just
100% happen.
I just want to speak on behalf of all the oppressed trans people. I'm
That will
all you young girls out there, all you young boys out. Oh, I can imagine it
now,
now.
there's a good chance though that this has, I don't know if she's been removed from nominations yet, but it could have scuppered any
Oh,
potential chances.
oh,
That's also a possibility.
if only merit existed. I mean, honestly, because it shouldn't have anything to do with it. You could be the most horrible person, but you're the best actor. It is possible, isn't it?
It is possible to do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear all sorts of things, about actors being not very nice, but they're fantastic at what they do.
Yeah, and that's the
Yeah.
point. If it says best actor, it doesn't say best actor of the people we like. It's best actor. You know.
I mean, I guess we will see what happens. I will be looking it up later when I go to actually, write this video that I haven't written yet. But I guess we'll see if she's still on the list. And I think the awards take place in what, March?
Yeah, it's not
And
long. It's not
and
long. 'Cause do the BAFTAs first and then the
yeah,
Oscars, I think. Yeah.
yeah. So the
TARDIS.
Oscars are quite elitist.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Of course, because Whoopi Goldberg and everybody's on the Oscar committees, aren't they? All the right people are on the committees to say all the right things.
And they've got check boxes galore.
Oh, I
I
bet.
have a quota now to meet in order to be able to qualify for an Oscar.
Oh, God help us. Yeah, to be a writer on Doctor Who, I have to tick boxes now. I probably. TARDIS travels. Remember the old days when actors didn't have a political view about anything? Oh God, Jeremy, you're going back here, and therefore didn't attract issues. Maybe we should blame the internet. An invitation to put out your views. I mean,
Got
Emma
one.
Emma Thompson. I'll fly back to England to sit in the middle of the London roads arguing about blooming the climate. How did that work? And she's a great writer. I love her scripts. She's a clever woman, but that was stupid.
It was.
I'm calling that out. Hasler Scott here. I'm a therapist. Oh God, did you join our detox? I need therapy.
Oh,
Are you
gosh.
helping David Tennant's 14th Doctor at the moment? I'm a therapist. I've dealt with this stuff for years now, and it's destroying families and ruining kids. They're seeking to form. It is complicated, isn't it? I'm not trying to say it's simple stuff, but having been a teacher, still there from the outside, and seeing kids upset and everything and confused, and I've seen some people change their mind from trans to lesbian to straight. Come on, they're dealing with too much. They're dealing with, some are struggling with education, some are dealing with broken homes, some are dealing with autism, some are dealing with being neurodivergent. The last thing we want to do is say, by the way, there's 75 possibilities of you out there. Cow, come on, help them out, and put some lovely old-fashioned Doctor Who on, so that doesn't confuse them, and they can have some escapism.
Well, I will say about the Juno Dawson book, one thing that I have actually noted is that I actually think, from what I've read so far, that any child reading this book who may be confused about their gender or sexuality, at the age of 12, even though this really shouldn't be for this particular age group, they're going to be even more confused just by reading it.
See, that's not fair, is it? That's not what you want. You want the kids. My mum and dad, I think I've never checked with them. I'm not going to ever deal with the question, but there was a book put on our shelf in our house once, and we didn't have millions of books, but it was bright yellow, and I noticed it was everything you wanted to ask about sex,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And of course, and I was like, well, I've got a few questions. So I used to sometimes that book would leave the shelf and, and I would ask some questions of the book, but it was done as a Q&A. So
Yeah.
basically, there were lots of questions I didn't ask. So it won't surprise anyone. I wasn't asking much about women, but but I'd ask one or two questions, and they answered me. He gave me answers, and then I put the book back on the shelf. And I think a lot of parents do say this: you only give information to kids when they ask for it.
Yeah. And I will also say about that book, if it was just sort of like much more basic, much more laid out, I think people would have a lot less issues with it.
Without parenthesis, without brackets,
Yeah.
without sarcasm,
Yeah.
without propaganda, without an edge.
Make it more factual
Yes. Well, that's what I mean. I haven't
and
read
to
as
the
much as
point.
you on this one, but it looks as though there's too much comment coming in.
Yeah, there is a lot of that. I'm wondering if a bit later on it changes a little bit because it does talk about certain transmissions, STDs, and that. So she might do it there, but
The,
I don't know until
the
I've got
trouble
to that
is,
point.
and of course it's that speculation, but the parenthesis and the asides and the commentary is just like we got in, say, the Star Beast when it said female presenting Time Lord, and we got comment. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And RTD is their mentor. This is, if they do write, as
It's
Ken,
murky, isn't it?
it's very murky. Kez the drone, educating children shouldn't make them scared of the world and nature. No, it should make them
No.
see all the possibilities out there. You open up the world, you don't close it down. You don't oppress them. The best way of oppressing them is to actually just say there's one label you can be, or that one label. Let them just go on the blooming journey, and don't let them kind of think there's only one label they can wear.
Mm.
Honestly, these people are trying to fit a label that they think they are onto somebody else. Leave them alone. Leave the kids alone. Let them have fun, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Raymond Williams, can't we just bring back punk rock? Teenagers trying to find themselves isn't something new. Correct.
True.
Want to change my hair, my face, my clothes. Want to be noticed. Some of my friends who ended up being punks, it was because they were shy and they wanted to be noticed. And the only way they could do it fast is pink hair, this, that, and the other. And everybody then noticed them.
You couldn't do that now though, because pink hair means that you're part of an ideology or something like that. You know, they'll have multicolored hair nowadays, don't they?
Yeah. We've got some
Never
interesting
dye my hair
comments coming
pink
here.
again.
Here's Dalek. There's a lot of Daleks about.
There is a lot of Daleks about, isn't there?
Yeah. I recommend BBC Radio's Fours Across the Red Line Transgender in Sport. Sharon Davies mentioned her time in the Olympics and was originally criticised for complaining about the East Germans. And she has every right to. She's actually been awarded some, in retrospect, some of the medals she did actually win. We all knew that. I mean, honestly, how she's been pilloried is beyond belief. So there you go.
Convoluted, isn't it? Oh, hello.
Now you sent me this, and I've tried to make it tasteful. Everybody's seen it without my bits changing it, but you did really think this was out of order, and I'm with you on this one, Rachel.
I did. Yeah, I didn't think this was a good thing. People were talking about coercive control. I don't know, but it was rather she wore rather a raunchy outfit to what was it? The Grammys.
Yeah.
She rocks up. I don't know if anyone has seen the video. There's a video floating around on X. This is Kanye West's wife, and she's wearing a coat, and then she just takes the coat off, and she is wearing a nude dress that is almost practically see-through, and she doesn't look comfortable, I must admit.
Yep.
Now, whether or not it's coercive control or it was her choice, who's to say? But I don't think this was appropriate. There was a rumor that they were also asked to leave.
Yeah, and it says you can see there, they had information out to tweets. They were not escorted to leave, it says here. but I don't, yeah, whatever. So, but yes, it was extremely. The thing is, he's dressed in black and he's covered up, and this almost reminds me of certain religions and everything, where it seems that the poor woman is like the woman is treated differently to the man.
Yeah.
I think people will know what I'm talking about, but this seems to be in reverse because we're in the Western culture here, and the woman there, I mean, unless she is happy making that statement, but as you say, I'm reading the body language. I can see her face.
Yeah.
It doesn't. She doesn't look like women when they're all dressed to the nines on the red carpet and they're doing their pouts and they're looking directly into the camera. She looks uncomfortable.
She does. And if you watch that video, her facial expression barely changes at all.
Like
And
frosty, like
yeah,
like I need to get through this.
yeah. It's like, right, let's do this. Let's get this done and out of the way, and then I can like put my coat back on, and I'll be covered up, and I'll be all fine.
Isn't this fascinating? Sorry, Rachel, I
Yeah.
apologize. But isn't this fascinating how in this world of the woke, this, that, and the other, that under the noses of the media, he does this with his girlfriend when surely it doesn't look right.
Yeah, it's really weird. This that was purposely like a talking point. They did it for a talking point. Like I say, I'm not going to judge whether or not that was her or whether that was him. That's not my place to say in that respects. But
It's not a good look.
it's
That's all.
not a yeah. You're right. It's not a good look. I have seen some things flying around on the interweb saying that Bianca doesn't normally dress like that from, and this is supposedly coming from her friends.
Mhm.
So read into that what you will, but I don't think this was appropriate.
No, I mean, I don't, when we're talking about, equality, inclusion, and all the things that these lot waffle on about all the time, we just get on with life.
Yeah.
We're just pointing out inconsistency tonight. And yet again, I don't see equality there. And if it is just to grab a headline, why does the woman have to be objectified to get the headline? Why can't he do something? Why can't he be down to his budgie smugglers like? Wow.
I don't know. I don't know, but it's easier to objectify women, isn't it, than men?
Oh, well, I think RTD has a word for it. He calls it a trope. Like Davros is a terrible trope, and we can't do that. So in the rest of the media, we'll have tropes of using women as the adornment, the trophy. Oh my God, have we moved on? Is this 2025 or is this 1971?
Oh, we've definitely backtracked, haven't we?
Well, everyone says, oh, you can't have Miss World. Oh my God, shocking, disgusting. 2025? Wow, we've moved on. Well done, well done, well done.
Yeah, I just didn't think this was right. She doesn't look comfortable, even if it was her decision or not.
But does that mean, look, I'm not digging for this. I disagree with cancel culture. But does this mean that when you see something like this, and I'm, say, in the media world, high up, that he should be in big doo-doo because this is not good look and we don't want to be associated with this sort of thing?
Theoretically, if he was the one that was actually making her do it, that's what they mean by coercive control and things like that.
Yeah.
But obviously there's no, as far as I'm aware, there's no evidence of that. So
this is the murky world of
so
DEI and woke culture in the media because they say one thing and they do another.
Like, do I think they should be cancelled because they did that? No. That would be a ridiculous thing to cancel those two over. Petty is what I would call it.
It's just, as I say, I keep coming back to Camille said she'd love to support John Barrowman, but she'd end up probably being vilified. And I understand that.
Yeah.
So she would be vilified for supporting something. It's all about association, isn't it? Kanye West and his girlfriend there, Bianca, and this is 2025, and nobody's going to say they're uncomfortable with these associations of attitude. I'm not the one wanting cancel culture, but the ones who practice cancel culture, they have a few quandaries here.
Yeah, and they'd be cancelled in the heartbeat, quite happily.
And
Should
that,
it be more extreme, or should they actually find out that this was the most extreme exploitation and coercive control? Not saying that it is, but, should they? Oh, he'll be immediately cancelled for that.
and therefore, I keep thinking, so why are some people then allowed to be cancelled, like John Barrowman, as an example? I mean, honestly, this is mad. Is what he did worse than any of this? Is it?
Probably not.
I mean, it's just a
It is
question.
the same, isn't it? It's so convoluted, it's so murky, it's so
This is what I mean. These
difficult
media
to
loveys
answer.
never ask a media lovey to make sense, because they don't, because they have to keep checking themselves out every 5 minutes and the fad comes and goes. Makes no sense at all. So hello, I'm just, as my mum always said, you're the kid who shouts that the emperor's got no clothes on. Brendan, that is just how you are. And I call out inconsistency. Exhibit 28.
It's not double standards, it becomes triple standards.
Yeah.
And that
And
child
this,
is blatantly looking.
exactly. And this is this is the other point. I mean, how is this a good,
Sorry, I
representation?
don't mean to laugh at the child blatantly looking. It just reminded me of something that my brother used to do.
But this is the point. These are role models, I suppose, is what you'd say.
Yeah.
And that was her at the after party as well. I'm all I can say is I'm hoping, yeah, about consent, and she's comfortable. I mean, I don't know.
But
I
there she
really,
looks happier, but there, even though, she's got a leotard on that's showing off her butt, she looks happier because I'm guessing because she's covered, at least in some way.
yes, yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. There is a difference. She's smiling on the left there.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So interesting, isn't it? My God, what a tasty night this is at the moment. Oh, this is a fun one. Oh, did everybody enjoy this one this week in Britain? The DEI plague had invaded West Yorkshire police. Oh my God, they'd spent over £1 million on head of diversity, equality, and inclusion for £91,000 a year.
Good
Diversity,
grief.
equality, and inclusion manager, £57,000 a year. It just goes on. And
So long as they can do the job, but
right,
wow,
well, can I just
their
point out?
quota must be massive.
Well, there must be some terrible DI issues in West Yorkshire. Look, you get burgled, you want the police to deal with it. You have a car theft, you want it dealt with. You want the police to deal with any issue you face. That's what we pay for. It's called tax. But I want to show you this, Rachel, and it might just, because everybody knows about this headline, but I want to show you this. And this is given to, I think it was the Smart Travellers in Australia. And it's a government advice in Australia. Now you'll notice that the United Kingdom is in yellow. That means every Australian should exercise a high degree of caution if they visit Britain, because we are not that safe. Now,
Really?
when you are paying £1 million a year in one police authority for DEI, which deals with no crime at all, you do start to think we're spending money on the wrong things. Yes, I can see yellow for Turkey, France, Germany, Sweden, Denmark, Belgium. Yes, I can see that, folks. But the point is, most of Eastern Europe, which I think we would say is more conservative, is green. In other words, normal, safe. So I just want to point out that the DEI countries, the ones who are, we're pushing and crusading this, aren't safe.
Oh, I was just about to ask a really dumb question.
Go on.
No, I already know the answer. I was going to ask, why is Northern Ireland in yellow? Just ignore that, okay?
Okay.
Sorry, if anyone's from Northern Ireland in the chat, you're part of the UK. Ignore that.
Okay. It's all right. Don't worry.
It's been a long one.
Simon Anthony, the point of DI was to tip the balance of decades of laddish culture ruling everything. Yes, it's got silly and dangerous, but it had a good point to make. Simon, and I said, I know there was a good intention. The trouble is, it's had no brakes on this. And every good intention can turn into a very, very, very bad behavior if there's no control and there's no moderation and there's no common sense.
I agree that we need DEI, but not to the point where it's out of control.
I mean, I don't know if you need DEI to
You
that
know, I
extent in the
mean,
West Yorkshire
oh,
Police.
exactly.
I mean,
Like,
honestly.
that's an awful lot. That, like I said, their quota must be extremely big in order to. I guess I'm guessing they're a big police station as well, maybe, but they
But
got
it
to have
just,
a big quota
you've got
for
a
that.
lot of members of staff. I mean, head of DEI, DEI manager, 3 DEI officers, 2 admin assistants for DEI positive action, 1 DEI comms and marketing lead, 1 DEI progression officer, and it all adds up with the training as well. That's another 361,000. It was $1 million a year. That's crazy. Meanwhile, people are saying, can my burglary be solved? No, sorry, we can't be bothered with that. Our shop has been raided for 250 quid's worth of alcohol. Sorry, nah, police don't do anything. I
Someone
mean,
tweeted hurty words on X, right? That's it. What's
yeah.
happening with
What?
me?
Yeah, you've been texting about certain things in Britain in the last year. Oh, you're going to Britain for 7 years, go to jail for 7 years. You know, it's like, honestly, the Americans are laughing at us. But I just think everybody has seen that headline, and please look at that map one more time. Is it the DEI? And Turkey's in a different ball game, but Turkey has other issues. France, Germany, and the UK, and Sweden and Denmark have all been following similar policies. And take a look. The Australian official advice to their tourists is Britain is no longer safe.
Scary, that, isn't it?
Meanwhile, we're paying the police to just do DEI courses. Got that? The world's gone woke mad. That's what that's about.
It's like that video where the police are bowing down to people, you know? Weird.
Yeah.
So just do your job.
That's what I mean. Just act. Just script write. If you're doing a science fiction script, make sure it's a science fiction script. Don't do all the other stuff. And
Yeah,
don't.
you
Yeah.
don't need it. Just chill, do your job.
As Stephen
But if they
Bradley
didn't
says,
do their job, I wouldn't have my YouTube channel.
I know. You wouldn't be the queen of woke. You'd be the queen of nothing.
I
Oh,
would be the queen of nothing. Oh, that's disappointing.
that would be shocker.
That would totally shocking, yeah.
So Stephen Braddock, what total nonsense. We can't even get the police to come out to our store for shoplifters. Well, they're doing courses on DEI instead, Stephen. And your issues are lower down the list. They have to be nice to each other first. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. I don't feel like they can get anything right. They get heavily criticised if they tase someone, but yet, you know, you don't know the full situation as to why someone's being tased, and then they get, you know, and then they have to do this and they have to do that. Oh, it's complicated.
Yeah.
Or
So
I insulted Farsight. Hi. Apparently, I don't know my geography.
now Lee's still with us, and Lee, I am going to try and sort a date. Don't worry. It's just I've been kind of yeah. Let's be clear what DI really means. It has nothing to do with skin color, race, sex, or sexuality. It is an approval of those with the same radical, but that's what I mean. It's more to do with an agenda, because these cancellations and then other people who are never cancelled, it's because are you on the right side of the agenda or not, according to the people in power. That's all I can see, because I do not understand why some people in Doctor Who world are struggling and other ones are platformed. I don't get it.
Carla Sophia Gascon is also a good example of that. Carla's on the right, completely on the right side because Carla's trans. Suddenly those tweets surface. Oh, no.
But
naughty,
you see,
naughty.
But Lee there, as you know, Lee, a problem being Jewish, gay, that's not enough tick boxes anymore. It's got to be one of the others. Gay is not trendy anymore. It used to be in for a little while. I never noticed, but no. I'm white and middle aged or a bit of and gay. You don't count, Brendan. No, you're rubbish.
Yeah,
and that's what I mean.
So you need an extra tick box, Brendan. What you?
I'm looking. I need to transition to something. A better channel. I don't know. I'll have to transition something. Next one. You liked this one, didn't you?
Oh, I like this one.
This
Yeah,
is
this is hilarious.
network rail, isn't it? Go on, over to
Yeah.
you, Rachel.
We are now a genderless society on the network rail.
I hadn't noticed.
This is their whole new phrase book that they've got to now use on their travel so that they do not offend the minority of people.
Of course.
And so we've got passengers. We have to now be referred to as you. Instead of saying purchase, they have to say buy. I don't really know why that is. Obtain, we've got get, mother, father, parent, expectant mother, pregnant women, pregnant person, which is absolute load of rubbish. Mankind, people, humankind, workmanship, quality of work, manpower, lads, men, people, boyfriend, wife, husband, partner or spouse, normal, neurotypical, Christian name, first name, given name.
Yeah.
Look at that. What do you think of that, Brendan?
Well, where do you start? I mean, honestly, we saw some of Juno Dawson's examples of their high quality literature earlier, and I'm going to make the same point. This is dumbing down language as well. It's also extremely reductive. That seems to be the trendy adjective of the moment. I don't know why they're going to even be wasting time doing courses on obtain to get. Who cares? Purchase to buy. Who cares? But then we do have the politics added. And this is where the problem is. Pregnant person, load of baloney. I'm sorry, but have you ever met somebody who's pregnant who is not a woman?
No.
I haven't. I know it's had daddy's belly earlier, but I don't know what that all. So why can't it just be a pregnant woman? Because it obviously is. I'm holding on to my Bible here called science.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, folks. I mean, I'm so out there and radical, holding on to science and biology. Gosh, but pregnant person. It's pregnant person. The thing
Well,
is, people are wasting money on this and time.
Well, yeah, this would have cost some money to change all of this.
And
I mean, to be honest, the sort of like saying people or no, not the people actually, like buy, purchase, obtain, get. Like, what difference is that going
no.
to make? Absolutely none. It is the reduction of the rest of the language, like you say, pregnant person, people, humankind, people. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
It's fascinating that Juno Dawson, who's on the right side of the agenda at the moment, is pushing one way, which is look for a label when you're at 12. Look for this label. Look for this. Are you this? Are you that? Or the other? That's allowed. That's on agenda. That. However, other parts of our DEI agenda are trying to say you can't be a mother. You can't be a father. You can't be. They kind of are making us lack labels. They're trying to generalize us, blur us. And come on, that makes no sense.
It makes no sense in the English language.
No, 1 minute you're a cisgender this, you're a this, you're a this. And it's very, very, very precise. You're a non-binary, blah, blah, blah. The next minute you're a person. And I'm sorry, you can't have it both ways. You either want extreme specific to the point where we're splitting the atom of the human race, or everybody's
And
human.
they think, "Oh, it's going to offend someone who is non-binary, it's going to offend a trans man." No, it's going to offend the majority because, being trans is not as big of a percentage as it is for those who actually identify with their biological sex, is it? And to be honest, you just start blurring the lines, and you blur the lines for absolutely no reason at all. I almost want to joke around and ask you, Brandon, when's your baby due? Because that is ridiculous.
You're fat shaming me? No.
Sorry. But it's just
the thing is, I
wrong.
It's wrong because in the end, this is network rail. Are your trains on time? That's the only thing that bothers people. and whether it's comfortable, I suppose, if you've paid for first class or whatever, or a quiet carriage or whatever. That's the issue. Nobody likes waiting around for a train and cancellations and stuff. Whether they use this type of language or not is irrelevant. People just want you to be on time, efficient, and a good service. Doctor Who, I really don't care what people are wearing. I don't care what sexuality they are. I don't care. But are they writing good Doctor Who? The product is all I'm bothered about. And this DEI stuff has just made it so murky that we're picking for it seemingly not quite the right things, or we're discussing things irrelevant. Why Network Rail is spending any more time than a minute talking about stuff that isn't about trains on time and comfort is actually a waste of time.
If they're going to insist on using this language, why couldn't they have just done this sort of like under the radar? If they're really going to go down that route, why did we need a list of cancelled phrases to assure people that they are doing the right thing? They are seen to be doing the right thing. I'm not saying, go out and cancel, boycott Network Rail. No, it's just.
But the other thing is, Rachael, is it seems that on the side of the wokesters here, they are cancelling words. They are cancelling language. They are controlling language. That's authoritarian. Some would say that's fascist.
Yeah.
It's very dystopian sci-fi. I do not approve. Nobody can control your language.
Yeah.
We've done that with 1984. Ignorance is, is strength, and all this lot. And no, Ministry of Truth. That's actually propaganda. Sorry, don't you dare give me language games, because I know what you're doing. You're all authoritarian and fascist. And somebody slightly better than somebody wrote this dish rag. H.G. Wells, George Orwell. Clever people have warned us against this, so we should all give it a red card immediately and send it to the trash can.
It's like they could see the future.
It's stunning. That's what good sci-fi writers do, isn't it, Rachael?
They're very brave, aren't they, for broaching this subject?
Yes.
Very brave.
So, oops.
Oh, hi here. What's going on here?
This is I just have examples of where all this world has gone. A cautionary tale for a second, though, which is there are people who tweet out here. So I'm being fair, maybe slightly balanced for a second. Right. You've been entertained by drag your whole life. Don't pretend it's a problem now, Rachael and Brendan, because look at all those examples. Tootsie, Mrs. Doubtfire, Dame Edna.
That's it's debatable. I will say that.
Yeah, a friendly reminder that Mrs. Doubtfire ended with Robin Williams in full drag, getting his own show reading to the kids. There was no outrage when it came out. Nobody was protesting the theatres or claiming it to be propaganda. It's a fair point. And I have been questioning the drag queens reading to kids. I have.
It depends what they're doing.
Yeah, it depends what the story is. The thing is, as it was said earlier, it's about intention. Simon Anthony said it's about intention. Now, I just wonder why any parents are saying we need to get a drag queen to read to kids when actually you can get Granny, you can get the dinner nanny who stays for a bit of extra money in the afternoon. I don't know why you need that. I
don't think drag queens do actually need to read to kids. However, if we're going, if we're just talking about it, I would rather it be, as an adult, a character more like the likes of Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
A bit more presentable, actually full face of makeup, whatever, than running around in skimpy outfits or with this horrible, the drag queen makeup on that looks really garish when it's not under the stage lights. I would rather Mrs. Doubtfire than if you're going to go down that road.
On the surface, it's a neat point by whoever did this to push back on us lot, right? But actually, Mrs. Doubtfire's character was a dad who was desperate to see his kids.
Yeah.
So,
and because it went wrong, he ended up presenting it as his new TV
Yeah.
idea just to cover up for his mistake.
And he was very granny, very
Very
welcoming.
granny,
He
very old
wasn't dressed in
lady.
high heels,
Nope.
and, you know, boob tube out here and everything.
Yeah.
The point is, he was just like a welcoming granny.
Yeah, you see all these videos of drag queens gyrating in
Yeah,
front of children, and I know what I would rather. I'd rather have Mrs. Doubtfire.
yeah, yeah. Well, exactly,
Yeah.
because it's too easy to say, well, that was Robin Williams in drag, so therefore you lot are so hypocritical. No, no, no. Let's look at each case in hand.
Yeah, it's completely
This
different context.
This story was a dad who, we know how the rules are with divorce sometimes. The woman sometimes gets custody of the kids. And actually, if the dad's a decent dad, he's left bereft.
Mm.
So he tried desperately, didn't he, to have access to his kids and to see his kids, or at least entertain them. It's a cute story. It's quite sad, really.
It
But
is.
he turns into a kind of granny figure. He hardly turns into a pole dancing, you know, sex object.
And what it does is it actually teaches a lot about himself because he's a good dad. You can
Yeah.
see he's a good dad from the very beginning, but it teaches him to buck his other ideas up. That's what all of this does, and he does it.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, there's loads of people fired up on this one. Babette, I do drag in films all the time. I didn't start doing drag to entertain children. I question the motives of anyone who did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Talon's a winch. I am. Why do drag queens never go and read their books in hospices? Well, there's some interesting questions. Yeah. I suppose, are they booked, or are they, you know, I mean, I sometimes wonder who's asking them to do it. I ask, why are the parents wanting them? As I always used to say, the dinner nannies would always stay in the afternoon and read to the kids.
Mm.
I don't know why you need.
It makes you wonder what some of our late drag queens would have actually thought about this, like Paula Grady, Barry Humphries. What would they have actually thought? Danny LaRue, you know, it would make you wonder what they would say about this sort of thing nowadays.
Yeah.
Mm.
So interesting one for point of balance. I put it in, but I still think it's not, the argument's not quite there. There's mini pride. Did you see that, Rachel? The mini pride going on. It's for little tots. It's for little tots.
Oh.
They're doing a mini pride. Now, again, kids don't know about sex. They won't therefore know about sexuality. All they know about is Father Christmas or not, fairies or not. Mini pride, why?
Why are they doing a mini pride? Where is that? Where are they doing a mini pride?
Chester.
Oh, Chester. Oh, I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah. So it's look, the question has to be why? Why can't they just go and do some La La Land, some Neverland, have Peter Pan there, do stuff like that, have all the book characters? Why is it a mini pride? Pride in what? If the kids ask all the right questions, and at 3 and 4, they're not really going to. Sexuality, sex, gender, nothing to do with little kids.
No.
So this is what I mean. It's just, as I'm adding it all together, I mean, Rachel's been working all week, bless her, and she comes in here, and I've been sitting on my back. Well, I've been streaming slightly, but as I find these screenshots, I'm going, God, these shows could last forever, Rachel.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't screenshot this particular one, but in Juno's book, there is, I don't know if you can see it. There's a pie chart. I know I haven't mirrored my camera, but there's a pie chart.
Yeah.
And this is Juno asking people when they knew what sexuality or gender that they were.
Yeah.
And some people have said that they knew at 3 to 5 years old, and then 6 to 10 4% at 3 to 5 years old, 6 to 10 at 21%, 11 to 15, understandably, much more greater at 57, 16 to 20, 14, and over 20 was 4%. And that's when people started to question their gender or their sexuality.
I think people are forgetting boundaries. I find it fascinating. Do you know what? In the 1980s, Rachel, we had that red triangle on Channel 4. They had the 9 o'clock watershed. They had all these rules. Remember when you buy a Doctor Who Blu-ray, it has a 12 on it or a 15 or you?
Yep.
And they have, for some reason, when you go to the cinema, they have these pretend classifications. What is the point of having any classifications if you're going to do a mini pride to 3-year-old tots? If you're going to read to them with a drag queen, if you're going to have Doctor Who doing gender issues, what is the point?
Absolutely none. You might as well just let it go and just do
Free
it
for
across the
all.
board. I highly recommend that you don't do that,
No.
entertainment world. Please don't. But, for want of better words, you might as well just do it. But
Now
please don't.
in the Western culture, it's also been plagued with this. Now, you one of your lovely countries that you visited was Japan.
Yeah, I
Yeah?
used to live there.
Yeah. Well, Japan, here's my next slide. This is how Japan is depicting to the Japanese how America looks today. And I found this
Oh,
fascinating. It was really good from this. So let
oh.
me just show you this. Democrat and Republican. Now you can tell the Democrats are blue. Go down to the bottom, rainbow flag, Google. Just take a look at all of that. And then you've got the Republicans on the other side, church. It's fascinating how, as an outsider, the Japanese are depicting the American dichotomy.
That's hilarious.
Good fun, isn't it?
It's a good depiction, I won't lie. I mean, I'm not saying that all Americans are like that, but you could probably apply some of this to our country as well.
Yeah, yes,
That's the
yes,
scary thing about it, isn't it?
it is. Stereotypes sometimes tell the truth.
Yeah.
Sometimes caricatures are there. Now, I know I'm saying this, bless you, you've been working, but hey, this is interesting. Little House on the Prairie's coming back.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
Did you also see? I don't know if this was true, but when I saw, I mean, that's Little House on the Prairie that I remember. The three
Yeah.
girls running down the hill and
Yeah.
falling over. I saw that, but I wasn't quite sure. I thought, is this a joke? It might be a joke.
I hope that's a joke.
I hope it's a
That
joke.
wouldn't make any sense at all.
It wouldn't make any sense. So I'm hoping it's a joke. But basically, we all know how they cast nowadays, and you think, will it look like Little House on the Prairie, or will it look like?
Yeah, I hope that's not true, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. So the next one, folks, I'm going to be hot to trot here. Is I don't play that many games and all the rest of it, but I want to represent this when there's a bit of fun. What about this one? Deliverance. Okay, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Going back to the 1400s, have got a gay romance. Now, yeah, you know me. I shouldn't have any offense at this, and I don't. But some people are saying, you've changed the character. Why have you done this? You've made it into gay porn. You in a game, you make your choices and you go in different versions and all the rest of it. So they're going, why have you done this? This is the DEI nonsense, isn't it?
Yeah, just doing this to appease people.
Oh, it just makes me laugh out. Even in gaming, they're sat there doing. I mean, they're clever people. They're coming up with all these worlds.
Representation.
Yeah. Now, this character who's been in the first one, let's have him. You can choose to kiss him. And I'm thinking, oh, God, we're in the medieval times. I mean, I think you'd have had a poker up your backside.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have lasted long. I mean, didn't Shakespeare do, what was it, Henry II? It was a bad end, wasn't it?
It's funny, isn't it?
Oh, God. And, of course, their shares went
tank their shares.
Yeah. Same old story. And then they were talking about that the first Kingdom Come had it was accused of being racist, the first game, Rachel, because it didn't have any black characters in this European medieval setup.
I mean, make it make sense. People think about it. If you're actually doing something that is historically based, then reality.
Yeah,
we know what it's been reported for, historically wise.
Well, Lee, as a fellow homosexual as me, knows fine well in history, we were always so accepted, fully and totally in part, in ancient cultures, especially the medieval period, the biblical period, and many others. Lee, we know we've been loved all the way. And the games should respect that.
Have you ever seen Spamalot?
I haven't actually, no.
There's a brilliant line in it where so there's two gay characters in it, okay, and towards the end, one of them says, "Oh, just think," when they get married at the end, "Just think, Herbert, in 1,000 years' time, this will still be controversial." It's so funny.
And then,
Makes me laugh every time.
and there is an element of me. I mean, I've been 5, never had an issue being gay. I don't think anyone would have taken me on. But the thing is, I quite like just not being seen as the norm in that way. I've enjoyed it. I mean, some of us do like a bit of attention in whatever way it comes, as I have to say. Oh, Thomas McCarthy, I'm sorry, Little House on the Prairie is coming back. I didn't like the original. I associate with it with Sunday night. Yeah, well, I'm apologizing for that, because I know we all get triggered by music and various things. I remember when one of the girls, didn't she go blind and all the rest of it? I remember all that stuff. Yeah, it's childhood.
Time Team was mine.
It's just, it had nothing to do with, I mean, everybody wants representation. This is about, pioneer America. I mean, me in Middlesbrough was going, oh, this is me. This is me. Get me my floral dress now. Now, this one, just to tidy up everybody. I mean, I remember when Crime Watch UK used to be on, and Nick Ross used to say, this is very rare, sleep tight. I think I'm doing the reverse with these woke shows, Rachel. I think I'm scaring everyone to death. Everybody, take a look at this one. This makes no sense, and this is a bit serious, I think, really.
Yeah.
Asylum seekers are trained to report hate crimes by Labour councils. We're short of money in this country, let's be frank, and councils are spending taxpayer money on PlayStations for asylum seekers. Now, if you want DEI, if you want equality, let's remind ourselves, then everybody's treated the same. Now, but the pensioners are getting a hard shaft here.
Yeah.
You've got, some kids, some working class kids who I teach, and they have to wait 18 months for any special needs assistance or diagnosis. I'm sorry, but that stuff gets me angry, because it's not a level playing field, and everybody born in this country, whatever they are, should be given a chance. And I'm sorry, but I don't think an asylum seeker needs a PlayStation. And they may not like the PlayStation, Rachel, especially if it plays Deliverance 2 and there's a gay kissing scene in it.
Yeah, true. Well,
I mean,
no, they wouldn't. It's against
no, they won't.
religions.
I'm going back. I'm going back.
They're just cottoned on to what you were saying. Yeah, no, it wouldn't. No, definitely not.
I have to say, I know you can't. I know the rules of the sea are you can't turn the boats back, but maybe if we gave everybody a PlayStation and had a gay scene in it, it might really test them out. Because later on they say, some of them say, I'm gay, I can't go back to whatever. And you think, well, let's see what you played on that game. It might be a test that maybe if you went to level 27 and you chose not to kiss the Sir Lancelot, that means you're straight. Therefore, off you go. Could be a good test.
It could be a good test. See what happens.
But I don't think you should be teaching people about hate crimes, because it's not even a crime. It's, oh, for God's sake.
Hate crimes is weird. Is a weird, dodgy one. It goes down on someone's record.
Yeah, it's a non-crime hate crime.
Yeah, non-crime hate incident or something like that. Really wordy. J.K. Rowling's got one, Yeah. She don't care.
And the police had time when I was head of year. I had nothing to do with this, by the way, but the police would always every year come in for one day and talk to the 12-year-olds about hate crimes.
Yeah.
And list them all. Now, on the surface of it, you don't mind in one respect. To be honest, forget the hate crime. They just say to kids, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, don't send dodgy texts. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind police coming into schools doing that sort of thing. But they were teaching them about hate crimes, and you're thinking, oh, for God's sake, the world is going to be obsessed with hate crimes.
Yeah.
Murders, low down. Burglary, low down. Car theft, low down. assault, low down. You know, we've got it all skewed up as far as I can see.
Well, yeah, we've got much more bigger things to actually focus on, and the fact that the police are taking the new law of saying the law that was introduced to protect children with people what they say online, now actually taking it extremely seriously and arresting people over
Mm.
over literally nothing.
So, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm getting the thread all fired up. I do apologize. I like to have a laugh. I think I'm having a laugh, mate.
I'd like to know. I would prefer to know that the councils spending our taxpayers' money would actually rather. I'd rather that would go on fixing roads. Like that
Potholes.
oh my goodness, don't get me started on potholes.
Yeah.
I'll go off on a rant on potholes for about 5 minutes. You'll
Well,
lose the show after the audience will go.
we keep getting told that the UK is basically financially stuffed, and the next minute we hear this.
Yeah,
Or we see when you go to certain towns that there's
yeah.
a rainbow painted, expensively coloured zebra crossing, and you're thinking,
If they can fund this, then
yeah,
they can use that money and put it somewhere where it's actually needed to make our our roads better. Roads is a good
yeah,
one for this one. Um,
maybe the
or
people who
something
pay
else
tax.
better. Yeah,
Yeah, you know, the people who pay tax might get something back. I think
yeah,
that's
is
how it
that
sometimes works.
yeah, that's normally what it's supposed to do, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Final one here, quickie. The Australians amongst us will know that there was a beer boss stepping down after a woke campaign sparked a backlash. It just goes on and on and
Well,
on,
pray
Rachel.
do tell. I know nothing about this one.
So Carlton and United Breweries boss steps down after woke Great Northern beer campaign backlash. Now, it's about what they promoted, and apparently the promotional campaign sparked a backlash from consumers, and the reason was something to do with what it promoted about the country or something. So it's a bit vague. After it launched its controversial Outdoors for a Cause campaign, and so basically, I mean, all I have to say, Rachel, don't worry, it's the same with me. It's a beer. It's like Bud Light. Why are we wading into serious topics? Do you want people to drink your beer or not?
Well, you know your demographic, right? And if your demographic is not what you're promoting with, then should you really be promoting with that said minority demographic?
Yeah,
You should really just go with the bigger demographic.
yeah.
And in this case, well, in that Bud Light's case, most of it was men.
Well, yeah, and Gillette.
Men.
I mean, you suddenly had Gillette with Dylan Mulvaney and all the rest of it, and actually Gillette is. I mean, I still like it, and I can see the kids because we have to show videos of various things sometimes, you know,
Yeah.
and I can see that it's a good little survey. I can sit in the corner for this moment. We have to show an advert when I had to talk. The subject was chosen by our feminist head of English at the time
Mhm.
on toxic masculinity, and they showed the Gillette advert. And it was fascinating to see the kids' faces because they saw the apparently toxic masculinity advert, and then they saw a classic Gillette advert where you saw a dad with his son and all the rest of it. And I could see the faces, and actually, they should be just getting what they're getting again now, which is Gillette has gone back to basics. Just do what you're supposed to be doing. Men are the ones who are shaving their blooming faces. Get
Well,
on with it.
there was this criticism over a Japanese McDonald's advert a little while ago for just presenting a normal family eating a McDonald's. That was criticised.
Gosh.
And yeah, it's actually a really lovely advert if you actually watch it. I don't know if anyone's seen it. It was quite a while ago now, but the backlash they got, and it's like, really? It's just a family eating McDonald's. When you
Yeah.
go to McDonald's, you generally go with people that you know. In most cases, it's family.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, all right. I'm not the biggest fan of McDonald's, but I'll take my niece. I'll take her. And, we spend that time together. We go with my parents, we go with my sister. Nothing wrong with it. In actual fact, it is mostly families that you do actually see in McDonald's.
Yeah.
So the Japanese advert, I got it 100% correct. The American advert that was going around for it at the time, if I recall, was completely different. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they were calling it out because essentially I think the Japanese advert was doing what the American advert wasn't actually doing at all. Didn't do it at all, actually.
Crazy. Well,
It's insane.
it's insane, and you know I'm going to scare you to pieces now because I'm going to give
Why?
you the very long list
Oh,
of what
no.
you've got to choose on. Now, in the thread,
Bye. I'm got no, I'm joking.
the thread have been fantastic. They've stuck with us. So come on, thread. You know what's
Yeah.
fired you up. What was the wokest issue we discussed? So I'm just going to put them on screen and give Rachel some time as well to have a look.
Yeah.
So there we go. Here we go. About 20 hours ago, we talked about Doctor Who and cancel culture and the whole mixture of what was fair, what was not. We talked about network real language, the heteronormative Lego, remember that? The racist dog areas in Wales, with the DEI Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 game with the gay kissing, the woke beer boss losing his job, Oscar trans actress in trouble, and the West Yorkshire police staffing DEI issue. Right, before you choose, Rachel, I'm just going to ask the thread. What are you going to choose, thread? What's the wokest of the week? What's the one that broke you? What is it? I think because I've done 2 shows today, everybody can predictably know I'm picking the top one. I really want the Doctor Who writers to be picked on merit. I don't want them to be dragged into a controversy, but I'm fearful that RTD is maybe getting himself into a right mess here because, you know, if they're trawling through that Carla's tweets, if they're trawling through various people's tweets, they can go through all of Juno's work. They can go through everything. And that's just an example. Yes, Heather, I'm giving you loads of choices. Matthew Pounder thought that the racist dog areas was the funniest.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
I still stand by how would the dog know?
Oh, those poor dogs. I mean, some of them are getting. I mean, you've got the American bullies, and now you've got these other dogs who are going. You know, you've got a tiny little Shih Tzu going. What have I done? Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm I tidy up after myself, but yeah. So I have to say these countryside and dog ones are hysterical. John Steed says it's the West Yorkshire DEI.
Yeah.
It got lots of traction this week, didn't it? And actually, it's got a serious side, which is Australia doesn't think we're safe anymore, and we're wasting police time on this. What are you thinking, Rachel?
Well, it's actually between 2 of them. And it's the top one and it's the bottom one.
Right.
And all for the same reasons. I would say though, I'm gonna go opposite to you. I'm gonna go the West Yorkshire DEI police staffing because we haven't yet to see the Doctor Who stuff. I agree that they should be picked on merit though. But
Yeah.
that money for the DEI police staffing, couldn't that be used somewhere else? That quota seems awfully big.
You
I
need
I mean,
frontline.
they
Yeah.
may be very big company. I don't know. Company.
But we don't need. It's like
Station.
the NHS. We've all been in the NHS. I was
Mm.
in a hospital for a few weeks, 2 years ago, and you can watch the nurse the sister is running around like mad, covering all the mini wards they have.
Yeah.
You know, she finishes around and comes back again. Meanwhile, you've got all these auxiliaries and this, that, and the other. And then when you see the office, there's loads of people in the office. They're all surgical in the office there. But then there's all these other admin people. It was just crazy. And when you know there's DEI and they have the lanyards and everything, you're going, this is all unnecessary.
My mum says that being sister in many respects is harder than being matron. She's matron now, but she used to be sister. She was her sister for years, but she would have to run around, do all the rounds and all of that. And then at the weekend when the matron was off, she had to run the ward as well, and as doing her a regular job as well. So, you know, just that was just random side there. But yeah. We can put that funding in to something else, surely, within the
frontline. You
police.
need frontline with police, don't you? The Lego's scoring big. The police are scoring big. The dogs are scoring big. Stephen Braddock is saying, yeah, it's a cross between Network Rail and the Yorkshire Police. It's the DEI language control thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
IP, who's in Australia, I have an invisible friend who's gay and gets very upset at people not paying attention to her. Oh, bless. And Paul's is, for me, it's the West Yorkshire DEI police staffing when they spend more time and money on DEI initiatives than solving crime. Yeah, the police are there for the number one reason is the Doctor Who writers and showrunner is there to entertain sci-fi. So please focus on that. And we don't need to hear about what your personal life's all about. And problem being, who's stuck with us, and I promise as soon as I finish this stream, I'm going to text you and we'll arrange a time. I do not want to go into hospital and be faced with those blooming homophobic flags everywhere. DI will cause collapse because you're not hiring the right people for the job. I think what I've said all night, Rachel, I know you think the same. It's merit.
It is merit. You've got to be right for the job. That's more important at the end of the day. You've got to be able to do it. Problem being, if you want to go and visit my mum, she don't wear one of those. She don't like it. She's there to treat patients.
Is she allowed choice?
Oh yeah, they don't force her to do it.
Okay, yeah.
So she wouldn't do it anyway if they tried.
Good for her. Good for her. Well, apparently I was on earlier today. So let's check out the detox. We had a hell of a debate there about what one of the other writers said about the immigration and the refugee, the doctor being that. But Rachel, you've been on with us for 2 hours. We all know the Queen of the Woke. You're very productive. So what's coming on your channel?
Right. So on Sunday, Doctor Who Sunday, like normal. That compared to last week is now all filmed. I hadn't even got that far last week. So that's all filmed. And then we'll be no TikTok Tuesday. The algorithm has changed a little bit. So I'm going to just mix it up a little bit, just try something else. But we're going to look at the Oscars. We'll take a look at the Network Rail. And I might look at the police, actually, and do that in more detail.
Well, as you know, there's plenty of ammo here.
Plenty of it. Brendan's essentially done my work for me this week. No, there was two things that I'd already chosen to do. I just haven't written it yet.
Look, we help each other out.
Behind, like normal.
Yeah, and we help each other out. That's the whole point. We help each other out. And the thread, if you've got any woke issue you want us to talk about next Friday, will you send it to us at the usual place, please? Because I've done well at finding them, but sometimes I panic about whether I will find them. So please do. And I'm sure Rachel will say the same for her channel.
Yeah, it's the same for me. I know I don't go out of my way asking on my channel, but it is essentially the same for me. I actually work full time in addition to running the YouTube channel. So sometimes it gets very difficult trying to find something and write it all ready for next week. I have to work a week in advance. If I was actually in a position with my channel to actually reduce some of my work hours, then I 100% would. But I love doing the channel, so I'm more than prepared to stay up late. So
yeah. And equally in my case, it's my hobby horse, everybody. I enjoyed today preparing that show. It was a great 2 hours. We've just had a great 2 hours. Hey, I love it.
Watched it yet? I sometimes jump on whilst I'm working and I'm waiting to do it and have a quick listen, but I didn't even get to that today.
Well, everybody, there's that to catch up on. But remember, on Sunday, it's my double bill as usual, 6 o'clock live. Big debates ahead, I think. And then 11 o'clock when it might be another saloon. You've all been fantastic. And some of you have been with me for 4 hours today. So thank you very, very much. So equally, Rachel, you've done a hard week and you've come here, given your money's worth, and it's been great. And thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for doing a lot of the research for today's show.
It's enjoyable. I said in the detox, I said it'll be a whopper tonight. So thank you, Rachel, and possibly see you Sunday.
Possibly see me Sunday. Yeah, I expect I will be there on Sunday. Yes. Just looking at the date. Yes, I will be there.
So goodbye, everybody. See you later. Bye.
Bye. Subscribe. Thank you.